to the under-reporting of projects and of expenditures into JORIS. By the end of June, out of the 120 approved projects, only 75 projects were reported against, leaving 55 unreported projects. Resilience projects have been less reported against than refugee projects, so about 41% compared to 67% for the refugee projects. In light of this, I cannot emphasize enough the need for all our partners to upload their projects to the JORIS and to report against their activities in a timely manner, as underreporting threatens to undermine the entire exercise by skewing the data, and you all need updates constantly. We all need to know how the money is being spent and in which areas. Selected recommendations from the report, and FIDA, has the report been given to all the, it's printed out in the package. Okay, and please do take a detailed look at it and do share with us any comments, questions, clarifications that you may have on the report. But some of the key recommendations that the team and the unit felt they wanted to highlight, especially to the donors. One, ensure that the JRP funding requirements are met in light of the opportunity provided by the 2016-2018 JRP to pursue a multi-year funding agreements. Second, ensure that accurate and timely reporting on pledgings and commitments. Follow up with implementing partners' abidance on reporting obligations. Ensure transparency and accountability from both sides, and pursue strategic partnerships in terms of implementation. On the JRP 2016-2018, just to update you on that, there's been substantial progress made in terms of preparing the 2016-2018 JRP. In August, MOPEC hosted the 3-day workshop at the Dead Sea for all members of the 11 sector task forces. The event was a relative success with over 250 partners in attendance, showing the dedication and commitment of Jordan's partners to supporting the national response. Over 3 days, staff from the respective ministries worked with specialists from the UN agencies, representatives of the donor community, and local and international NGO workers. During the plenary sessions, participants discussed planning assumptions, cross-cutting issues, and other topics of interest of all the task force members. The breakout sessions functioned particularly smoothly and effectively because of the advanced preparations completed by the task forces, who have been meeting regularly in the weeks leading up to the event. And since the workshop, the Secretariat has been working hard to review the submitted sector response strategies and project summary sheets. MOPEC and the Secretariat have been meeting individually with task force focal points to discuss and address any outstanding issues and revising projects and budgets as needed. A compiled first draft of the JRP 2016-18 will be ready soon and will be circulated to partners. Fida, what does the word soon mean? When will it be? 6th of October. Thank you. The JRP will be a 3-year rolling plan, meaning that every year we will have an opportunity to review the contents of the plan and make updates based on results, lessons learned, or changes that happen on the ground. As we will soon be beginning in earnest resource mobilization for the next year or the next 3 years, I count on our donor partners present here today to provide the necessary support to enable us to fully implement this new plan. Donors' commitment should shift from short-term 1 year to medium-term 3 years in the 2016-2018. And this is something you've asked us to do, and I think that's probably a better way for us to address the needs as we look forward to the next 3 years. The Jordan Response Fund, launched earlier this year, offers also an additional channel for JRP funding to complement existing funding architecture. It's jointly managed, as you know, by the Ministry of Planning, the United Nations, and donors. It offers as another potential tool to be utilized for donors if they wish to provide support to the JRP funding. On the refugee livelihood, the government is open to ideas on how to address the issue of Syrian refugee labor, so long as it does not displace or in any way negatively affect Jordanian labor. As most of you know, this is a sensitive issue for the country. However, the task forces have been encouraged to employ creative thinking. Examples include, and we're working now actually on a detailed study of the foreign labor in Jordan and identifying areas where we can use Syrians and displaced foreign labor as a priority in using Syrian refugees. Of course, so the example of replacing foreign labor in most of the sectors we can with Syrian refugee labor, or providing preferential treatment for producers that employ both Jordanians and Syrians. We are in discussion. Several European countries, namely the Netherlands, in the EU, had suggested a potential European idea to look at a possibility of giving trade preference to, let's say, factories that produce and employ Jordanians and Syrians in Jordan, in special zones, and in Lebanon. The UK is very much interested in this issue. The Prime Minister of the UK with the World Bank President met His Majesty and myself in New York, and they're looking at ways, Ambassador Ellis, similar to what we did in the QIZ a long time ago. So idea maybe simpler rules of origin that allow certain products, and this could create, factories that could really create thousands of jobs, if intelligently placed in the right way. So the Europeans were immediately very divided when the Netherlands suggested this. I think that's going to take some time and some discussion within the European corridors, but it's being pushed very hard by many players, because I think it's very much related to the ability of also stemming the flow that comes into Europe, if we can quickly do that. From a Jordan point of view, we're looking at potential industrial areas like the Jordan-Syrian Free Zone, like the Mafraq Development Zone, like the Irbid Development Zone, as areas which are already ready. They have industrial estate and infrastructure, and they can easily plug in certain creative ideas. And we could learn from the Jordanian-American collaboration in the past of how we did that, and maybe apply it in this case creatively to Jordan and to Lebanon. And it could be a very intelligent way to come up with improved livelihood situation and intelligence. So that's going to require all our hard work together, and we'll report back to you on this issue, and we'll work with some of the key members on this table to find ways to see how we can pursue this. I think aggressively is the word, because I think time is of the essence, as we always say. Obviously, the stakeholders can support the government in designing these types of creative solutions, and we look forward to working with you in the next now phase to come up with these additional creative ideas to deal with the refugee livelihood issue, whilst emphasizing that it has to complement the Jordanian challenges and not add to our burdens and challenges, or displace opportunities for Jordanian workers. On the JRP and the government development plan, the executive development plan, and this was the last intervention, and I apologize, but I was given a long list of things to update you on, so I apologize for taking a long time. The preparation of our executive development program as a Ministry of Planning, this is the 3-year government plan, which is a tool to implement the 10-year Jordan 2025 vision, and it also includes a bottom-up approach of all the outputs of the governorate development plans that we did in each governorate also for 3 years. So all of these plans converge in the EDP. This is the idea. And what we're going to do is then use the EDP and build in them the sustainable development goals, and to track them by next March when we get these goals. So we will build it into one system rather than having multiple plans that we're trying to track. And we might ask some donors for assistance in how do we upgrade these plans to include the SDGs tracking and monitoring. I think in March the world will converge on the SDG indicators and how to track them, and we want to start building them into the 3-year government plan. So we have a plan that combines the 10-year vision, the bottom-up approach of each geographic region in Jordan, and becomes always the mirror for preparing the 3-year budget for the government. So The JRP and the EDP, or the Executive Development Plan, it's important for you to note that our EDP as government is carried out by staff from each ministry, and they have been assigned to the 18 sectoral committees responsible to draft the EDP sectors and projects for the 3 years. Despite the fact that both plans are standalone plans, as I mentioned in the past, most of the staff that represent the ministries in these committees are also the same staff that have been in the JRP sector task forces, and this has been deliberate so that we ensure harmonization and to avoid duplication in the preparation and implementation of the plans. We also did a detailed comparisons between the projects proposed in the EDP as well as the project proposed in the JRP, the 3-year. And we reviewed the objectives, the activities, the locations, the budgets for all of the projects. Duplicated projects were removed because we promised you that these two plans, even though they're standalone, they complement each other, and we took into account to remove the duplication. And projects with overlapping objectives or activities have been amended, and a final clean list of projects will be available on the 6th of October. And we'll be willing, of course, to share all of that with you in full transparency so you can see how the two work and complement. I'll stop here and we'll leave final comments at the end. Thank you very much for all of you being with us here. And thank you for the great partnership and the great support we've been receiving from all of you. And we look forward to even working more closely with you as the crisis remains highly protracted. And I think the political track is going to keep eluding us. At least I don't see any convergence on any possibility even after this week, because by the end of